Hey guys, here's our video for 11.6, Vertex Form. Alright, so this is what Vertex Form looks like right here. F of x equals x plus or minus a number in parentheses, then an exponent of 2, then plus or minus a number. Okay, so I want to talk about where these numbers come from. And, Vertex Form, I think, it's kind of a giveaway. The name implies what it's really talking about. I can see that the vertex in my chart, if I look at the table, is -1 and -4 because the y values around it are symmetrical. Alright, and the vertex is -1, -4. So what I'm noticing is that while our -4 from the equation and the coordinate pair of the vertex, those signs stay the same. Just like in factored form, the -1 of the vertex becomes +1 in vertex form. Okay, and that's just how the formula works. Okay, so vertex form is when you're writing a parenthesis. Let me zoom in even more here. Okay, parenthesis, then x, and then opposite sign of whatever your x coordinate of your vertex is, squared. And I will confess to you guys that the thing that I forget to write is that squared, because it's just something you have to remember to write. And then same sign, the y coordinate of your vertex. So this was plus. Okay, let me finish in adding in all these symbols. Okay, so my vertex was at -1, -4. And vertex form would be +1, but keep the -4. Alright, so in this section we're going to do a mixture of vertex form and coordinate form. We've got 4 and -4 for our vertex. If I put this function right here into my calculator, I find the vertex for -4, okay? And vertex form, remember it's going to be the opposite sign x, same sign y. Okay? I also see the zeros, so I've got 2, 0 and 6, 0 are my intercepts. So opposite sign 2, opposite sign 6. Okay, in B, my vertex is at 1.5 and 24.5. I also have leading coefficient. So I'll just bring that leading coefficient down. Alright, and x, opposite sign, net -1.5 squared. And then same sign plus 24.5. My zeros were -2, 0 and 5, 0. And there, you can't really see it on the screen right now. Let me put that on top. Okay. This is an instance where we could not see the vertex in our table. So we actually had to go to the graph and figure that out, okay, using our right bound, left bound, or you can use the value function. Okay. All right, so let's go to the homework. Actually, I lied. Let's go to the graphic organizer that we made in class. Alright, so this graphic organizer really sums up what we're doing in this chapter pretty well. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. Alright, and we know because it has a leading coefficient of -2 that a parabola will open down, and we know the intercept is 0, 20. Now the 6 doesn't, it does tell us things, but not not really useful things, to be honest. Okay, it's not the location of a vertex or a zero or anything like that. It has to do with the symmetry of the distance from the axis of symmetry to a given point. Okay, factored form. This is the same equation right here as this one. If you put both of those into your y equals there, the same graph, this is just a different format. You can still see the leading coefficient of -2. We know the zeros from factored form. Okay, we don't know the y-intercept, we don't know the vertex. You know, just by looking at the equation. Like obviously if I put it in y equals, I can find those things, but just by looking at the equation only, these are the only two things I can tell. Okay, and we've got a graph. And we also glued in the table right here. It just occurs to me this is the second page of the graphic organizer, so I'm a little bit backwards, but that's okay. All right, this is vertex form. We figured out the vertex to be that -1.5 and 24.5. Keep our leading coefficient of -2, so we could pretty much always tell if the parabola is going to open up or down no matter what form it's in. And this is vertex form, so we can tell the location of the vertex. We can't tell the zeros, we can't tell the intercept. Again, we're focusing on just if I look at the equation only. I'm not looking at the graph, I'm not looking at the table. What can I tell just from the equation? And these are the things that you can tell. Okay, I'll go back a page. Here's another equation in standard form. We can tell that this one opens up because leading coefficient of invisible 1, and it's positive. I don't know the vertex from standard form, and I don't know the zeros by looking at standard form, but I do know the y-intercept, 0, -3. All right, here's the same equation in factored form. Again, it has that parabola that opens up because I can see the axis, or the leading coefficient of a equals invisible -1. I don't know the vertex just by looking at this, but I do know the zeros. I do not know the y-intercept. Okay, and we glued on the graph and the table. From vertex form, and my pen you could see was not cooperating here, f of x equals x plus 1 squared minus 4. So the parabola opens up, invisible 1. And location of the vertex is opposite sign, -1, same sign, -4. And we can see all those features in the graph. We can see the vertex, we can see the zeros, etc. Okay, homework help. So all we're really doing in the first section is reading the vertex form and pulling out the vertex. So we're ignoring any leading coefficients because they don't really tell us what the vertex is. We're really just paying attention to what number is being added or subtracted to x. That's a -1, so opposite sign would be +1. -8 stays -8. So that would be my vertex. In the next section, you're going to go to your calculator and go to your y equals 2x minus 4, oops, 2x squared, my bad, squared minus 4x minus 6. Look at your table. Okay, my vertex is, okay, so vertex in a table, just in case we haven't gone over it before, is usually that highest number or lowest number in the y column, but very critical that you hear me on this, Okay, the numbers above and below the vertex, that highest and the lowest number, have to be symmetrical. So 1, -8 appears to me on my vertex, and it is this time, because I've got -6, -6, 0, 0, 10, 10. So the y values above and below are symmetrical. You guys have started calling it rainbowing. They rainbow because if you connect them, you say they rainbow. Okay, but the math terminology for that would be that they are symmetrical. Okay, so my vertex would be 1, -8. And then to write this in vertex form, f of x equals, bring down any leading coefficient, 2, x, +1 goes to a -1, squared, -8 as the y value stays -8. The next section is just going over and reviewing the x-intercept stuff again. Okay, the example, that means that we would go to, say, let's see, I was doing number 15. I would punch in -4x squared plus 12x minus 8. Look at my table. Okay, my zeros are 1, 0 and 2, 0. Okay, zeros and intercepts are the same thing. So my function would be f of x equals, carry down your y, x minus 1, x minus 2. Okay, so that's that section. In this section, you are identifying the form of each quadratic as standard, factored, and then talk about all you know. In this section, what you'd really be referring to is this graphic organizer that we did in our textbook. Okay, standard form, factored form, and vertex form, and what do we know about it? So if I were doing, say, number 20, all right, number 19 you can see is vertex form. And vertex form, I can tell that it opens up because of the +5, and I can tell the vertex. Okay? And if I wasn't sure what I would be able to tell from vertex form, I could look at my graphic organizer and say, well, what does vertex form tell me? It tells me opening up or down. It tells me the location of the vertex. So if I were doing number 20, number 20 I would say is factored form. I can tell that it opens down. And I can tell that the zeros are 8, 0 and 4, 0. '21 is standard form. Now, there's ax squared plus bx, and there's an imaginary +0 for my c. Okay, and the c is kind of important because that's the y-intercept. So what do I know? I know that it opens down because of the -3 leading coefficient, and I know my y-intercept is 0, 0 because of my c is 0. And the last part of your assignment, they give you some clues and you write a function. So if they tell you what the vertex is, then you would be looking to write something in vertex form. If they tell you the intercepts, then you're going to write something in intercept form. So I would write something like, f of x equals opens down, so anything negative I want. Okay, intercepts -3 plus 3, 4 minus 4. And I would write something like that. Okay? That's all I got, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.